So what I hear you saying, Mark, is you're working from multiple perspectives to give almost like a holistic view of what's happening in the client's world. Would that be right?
Yeah, I think that's a really good way of putting it. When I started studying to be an integrative psychotherapist, one of my tutors said to me, it's very much like being able to move between literal languages. And this spoke to me because I've been fortunate enough to have grown up in various different cultures and speak different languages. And my experience of that is that a language is much more than just a set of different words for the same experience or the same object. That actually, when we use a different language and we describe an experience or describe an object, that object is invariably embedded in that culture. And I think that's very much the same for a client, that it would be inappropriate for us to assume, well, this person in front of me has the same cultural understanding. They have the same use of language as I do, even if we're speaking what might be broadly termed as English. Well, somebody who has grown up in the south of North America is going to not only have a different accent, but they're going to use different words. And for them, the concept of a house or a farm or a ranch or a car is going to look very different to what I might imagine it is. So the same would apply to sort of concepts of their inner world or their psychology. I think it's fair to say, therefore, that not only are there significant differences in how we may conceptualize language based on where we come from, but there are also cultural backgrounds, racial backgrounds, gender background, religious background that are going to shape how we conceptualize our world. So in order to really have a relationship with a client, make contact, attune, those differences need to be bridged. And it doesn't mean that we need to observe the same understandings, but what's important is the ability to be able to see each other's position, because then there are two people in the relationship.
So what does all this mean to the client? Well, because you're talking about obviously trying to understand their world, trying from a very holistic perspective, but you're also talking about bringing in different theoretical strands. So how does this actually play out in the therapeutic work with the client?
That's a good question. I don't think there's any one single answer to that. Some people take to one particular language, and that might be a language that we focus on and work with predominantly. At the end of the day, let's think about what psychotherapy is about. Broadly speaking, I think it's fair to say that we would all agree that psychotherapy is about integration. So it's integrating different parts of ourselves, or what we might call split off parts of ourselves. So in me working with a client, attuning to a client, trying to help them form a relationship with these different parts of themselves, using different understandings of language, different understandings of psychological concepts, as well as focusing on the integration between mind and body, or psyche and soma as we might call it. That process is about growing a mind, and growing a mind equals the capacity to be able to hold ourselves in mind and be aware of the other. So that in this case would be the psychotherapist, but once the therapy is over, that is the capacity to be in two-person relationships rather than be an object to somebody, or in all the other variations of what one-person relationships might be. So broadly speaking, integration is about being able to have a genuine, real, honest and compassionate relationship with oneself and with others.